How does that look? Does it look alright? Testing, testing. 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Testing, testing. 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and testing. Testing, testing. This is only a test. This is only a test. That's all it is, just a test. Here we go. The Banquet Diaries, Chapter 1. Okay, testing, testing. I think we're ready to start. Oh. Welcome back. I said I'd be back, didn't I? Whew. How's everybody doing this wonderful evening? You ready for some supper? I brought us each one to try. I thought tonight we'd have something a little different. A banquet, if you will. Our daily banquet. These aren't right. It's like this. We have banquet, what they used to call banquet TV dinners, banquet television dinners. You watch television and eat these, I suppose. Back when they first invented the television. Kind of an all-together, ready-to-eat meal and just throw away the tray when you're done. There's many different varieties of these. Today we have my favorite. Well, two of my favorite. Meatloaf. R.I.P., by the way. R.I.P. Meatloaf. And Salisbury Steak. I chose these two because I don't know the difference. They taste the same, don't they? Today we're gonna find out if there is a difference because we're gonna taste them side by side. Poppin' hot and fresh, ready to go. You ready? Let's do this. Let's brush a little fork for the occasion. Oh, there's one of my beautiful hairs because these rubber gloves rip out my hair. Okay, now the reason there's plastic on this one and not this one is because the Salisbury Steak said just put it in for like 6-7 minutes. It did say to cut and remove the dessert plastic covering. Now as for the meatloaf, it said put it in for 4 minutes and then stir the potatoes. Which are these? It said nothing about the dessert, so after 4 minutes I removed the film, picked this thing up a little bit, and stirred them potatoes. And then I put it back in for 2 minutes. And this is what we have as a result. As you can see here, right off the bat, this really thickened. It's like an apple pie filling, an apple dessert. Looks wonderful. Ooh. And then over here on this side, very much like unhardened Jell-O, very much like liquid. Let's remove the film from the Salisbury steak. I want to lick that. Let's be civil. We're at a banquet. Let's go ahead and start with my favorite, meatloaf. I feel like meatloaf is probably a popular dish for people's final meal or birthday meal or wedding meal. It is so popular and widely loved by so many. I think everyone's had meatloaf and said, that's my favorite. What do you think? It's your favorite food now? Banquet's meatloaf microwave meal. I think I pick up a little Worcestershire sauce. Let's try the potato. Like, why is that sweet? Because we stirred the... Let's take another little sample of this loaf. What? Is it too pigment? Meatloaf, Banquet. Okay. Let's move on to the Salisbury Steak. These originated from Salisbury. Looks like there's a bit of a gravy, similar to the loaf. There's the Salisbury Steak. As you can see, it is steaming, it is smoking. It's good, huh? Let's see. I see. Let me see. Do I see the meatloaf? Very similar, right, guys? Very similar in texture. Meatloaf. Salisbury. There are potatoes on both. I'm having a hard time distinguishing the difference between the two of these cuts, if you will. Meatloaf. The meatloaf is a little firmer. There is a difference. That's funny. They're different texture, very similar taste. Well, let's move on, shall we? Since we're here, let's try the potato. Very creamy, very delicious mashed potato. And over here, let's see the meatloaf. Is there not as much gravy on the loaf? Let's get you a better bite. Oh, you sloppy thing, you. Y'all, Salisbury steak, meatloaf meal, gravy over meatloaf, made with chicken, pork, and beef, creamy mashed potatoes, cinnamon apple, dessert, sweet corn, mashed potatoes made with real cream. Ugh. Let's try that corn. So yeah, they're two different things. Corn is good. It's a little more starchy than a typical canned corn. Interesting texture, but not too salty, not too sweet. Very run-of-the-mill corn. I approve. Interesting texture though. Not juicy at all. More like starchy. Maybe they've done something to break down the cellulose, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Let's try the corn here. Under the meatloaf. Meatloaf corn. You want to get a good look at that? You see that? You see the texture, the color, the pigment. I like. Do I like that better than this? This one's a lot more corny. This one's a lot sweeter. This corn's better. Texture too. Slightly. Does it matter which is which? Those potatoes are good. Very good. These are good too, but those might be better. But then this one has the better corn. That's really good corn. They must have added sugar to that. Should be using our knife, our weapon. Should be using weapons. It smells wonderful. The meatloaf definitely has a little more of a bite, a little more of a snap to it. Probably a better word. What's this sauce? What's this sauce? Oh. That, whatever's on top, it's definitely flavorful. What does that taste like? I guess Worcestershire sauce or soy. Yeah, I like Worcestershire sauce probably in here, and not here as much. It's a gelatinous sauce, a glutinous sauce. Very mild. This is a very mild sauce on the Salisbury compared to this meatloaf sauce. Which this definitely has, I mean, I'm sure they both have like MSG, the monosodium glutamate flavoring. But the meatloaf gravy definitely has a more salty flavor. Saltier notes. I believe that could be just Worcestershire, but the meat itself, I think the tastes are very similar, if not exactly the same. But this one does have more of a snap. So I don't know. I thought I would solve this puzzle once and forever. First time I ever learned what a Salisbury steak was a banquet. And I remember thinking, that's meatloaf. So I'm like, yeah, I like Salisbury steak because I like meatloaf. They're different somehow. I like these corns. You too? I'll give you some of the sweeter one. Oh, here. Good? More? Too sweet? Beautiful corn. That corn is so good. This is not terrible. Very much different from this. Yeah, this one's got like a salt and sugar bath or something. Get our own trusty knife out. Oh. Let's get oh. Let's have a spot of water in between. Cleanse our palate. Okay, let's remember what that tasted like. Are you ready? I'm ready. Thumbnail. What's the difference? I like this one a little bit better than I like this one. I mean, but had I had these separately, and you told me both were Salisbury steak, or you told me that both were meatloaf, I'd believe you. Because they're that similar. You're so smart. You had such a great idea using this tiny little fork. We'll be here all night. That's what banquets are for. We are having a banquet. Me like. Now look at that. No. Oh. That was so good. Let's get this to finish. Let's finish this corn first, because the other one is so magical. We'll save it for last. Oh. Ah. All done. Finish that corn. Let's finish this corn. We should just use a spoon and stop fooling around with that silly little fork. A spoon. The texture of that is wild on my tongue. Almost ruins what you're eating. When you're eating a delicacy like this. Or you're getting the texture of the spoon. And every time you take a bite, you're also tasting that new texture. And it's wild. This corn is so good. I'm not kidding. Let's get the corn done. We're almost done, guys. Now, that's funny texture. Yummy potatoes. I see a bird running by my feet in the banquet hall. The bigger the bite, the better. Little bird, little bird. He loves everything. I'm sure he'd love this, especially the Salisbury. Yeah, it's so good. That Salisbury is really good. And the potato. You see that better? So good. You guys, this dinner's pretty tasty. Need a bag? I don't think birds are supposed to have like stuff like this. I read somewhere that they're not supposed to eat bananas and things of that texture. Maybe too mushy. I don't want to give them these potatoes. I'll give him a little salmon later. Goodbye. I'm just gonna save a little tiny bite for that bird. Yeah. Just a little piece right there. And the rest for me. For you? Okay. Cheers, friend. Gulp. Now, I think we should take a trip to Salisbury. Do a little steak tasting. We'll have to do that. I'm thinking. Oh, I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't want to give you spoilers to what's next. There may be nothing next. You never know what's going to be our last time together. I have a very, very dangerous job. Any creature, rake creatures, goblins, trolls, dogman. All this stuff. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for it. I don't know. I go where people go missing. They go missing with no explanation. I go snooping around. Put some cameras on some trees. Fly around with a 4K drone. You know, I just snoop. But it's very dangerous. And one day I may go and never return. Not because I want that to happen. Please. I love doing this. But I don't know, there's a lot of bears up there and they're about to open the road and I'm gonna go up there and change the film on my cameras, change the batteries on my cameras, add some new ones. It's always scary at the beginning of the season because the animals haven't been scared away yet. Well, what do you think is the difference between Meatloaf and Salisbury Steak? The potatoes, almost the same. I think I like the potatoes here 1% better than the Salisbury potatoes. The corn, it was like twice as good. It was very tasty. And the desserts, obviously. I mean, we're gonna get to them, but one's much more waterier than the other. Okay, now are just desserts. I give you apple and apple dessert. Apple dessert 1 and apple dessert 2. Apple dessert 1, very much like uncured jello. Okay. It's like homemade applesauce. This one's a little thicker. I believe they have the same taste, but this one's more like pie filling because it's thickened, and this one's thinner because I don't know. I don't know what happened. The instructions were different on them, and that really threw me off. Well, let's go for this one. This came from the Meatloaf meal. Now, I love the taste of this. My grandmother, dearly departed, rest in peace, Grandma, used to make homemade applesauce. And it was way better than regular applesauce. And it tastes like this. This one's too runny for you, but whatever. Here. Ooh. The whole table because of you. That's so good. Let's dip back into this pool. I don't like to shy away from this. Going back to dinner while you're eating dessert, like to get that salty sweet, you know? Look at all this juice. Cheers. That's the spot. This makes me sad. Our time together is nearing an end. But we're gonna go out with a bang. Hot, 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 hot. Oh. So good. It really is like a pie filling. Oh. Oh. Those potatoes and gravy were on the money. Very good. Very tasty. And then all that's left is the goo. The goo that binds us. The goo that makes us. The primordial ooze that is Banquet apple dessert. It is pretty good. Okay. Whew, bet you didn't expect that. Bet you didn't see that coming. Well, I hope you had a good time. I appreciate you accompanying me to the banquet. I think this year's banquet was very successful, thanks to you, of course. Okay, well, I'll have them bring the car around and we'll get going. And for those of you that aren't going to be riding with us, goodbye. hopefully we'll see you again. Because we have to eat. Right? And we don't like to eat alone anymore, right? Alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you again. I hope you enjoyed that meal. That slapped. That applesauce, that Salisbury, all of it. That sweet ass corn. And by the way, $1.48 a piece. Try that Banquet on for size. Here comes the check. Thank you. We'll see you guys later.